Good morning, guys. Here we have a transcription project for Hindi and English language. Right now, we are having a transcription ongoing project. So, in this, the files will be recorded audios. We will give a topic to the recording person and ask them to speak about the topic. So there will be a conversation and it will be recorded. We have a very specific tool for it where we can work on transcription. As you can see in my screen, this is the Labely tool. So here we will see how we will log in the Labely platform and how we will open the project, and also we'll have a look on the available tools to be used in it. At first, we will be shared a link by our project coordinator or project manager where we will have an email and password, and we need to provide that. Using this email and password, we need to log in the Labely portal. After login, you will be able to see an interface like this, in which you will be able to see the project name in which you are going to work on. So here it is written as English transcription QC sample. And beside it you can see there are three dots horizontally. We need to click on this option and then click on dashboard. Once we click on dashboard, we can see an interface like this, and in the center we can see an option called as start annotation. We need to click on it simply. After clicking on start annotation, we can see an interface like this. In this middle portion, we can see the audio graph in it. In this middle portion, we can see the audio graph in it. Let's give some time to load the graph. Okay, the graph is loaded, but the area looks very small since two windows are open at both sides of the graph. So we need to simplify this view area. So now I will show you how to do that. So here you can see at the right hand side below the submit option there is an arrow button. We need to click in that and maximize the right side. Clicking on that arrow, it maximizes the right side of the window. Similarly, on the left side, there is an option called as outliner, and beside it there is an arrow. We need to click on it and maximize the window. So now we can see the graph area is looking very big, and it would be helpful in doing the segmentation and transcription here. After simplifying the visibility area, we need to identify the speakers. So for that, we need to play the audio first. Let's start it from the very first. We'll place the audio cursor at the very beginning of the audio and we'll play. So here now we can see that the first voice is female, and in any audio whichever the voice we hear first is considered as speaker 1. So here the first voice is an woman's voice, and because of that we need to consider her as speaker 1 in the end. entire audio. Say, let's say here I will show you how to mark this part and how to do it. Above you can see speaker 1 and speaker 2. So now let's select the first speaker, the speaker 1, and you can see it got highlighted. After this, we'll drag the mouse from where the woman has spoken and label it. So, placing the cursor at the very start where the woman has started her speech, and I will drag till where she has told. Let's play it once. So, we need to readjust it since the second speaker voice is also coming. We will place the cursor at the end and we'll drag towards the left. We'll play it once again. Click on the segment and we'll play it. Okay. Now you can see we have selected this as speaker 1 and also the labeling is done. Similarly, we need to mark the speaker 2 in the similar way. I'll play the audio. Yeah, before that, I can observe the wavelength is very small. We need to maximize the wavelength. So here at the right hand side, there is a button where selecting it, the wavelength got increased. So I will select at the very preferred size, which is good to me. And yeah, now let's again start it. So now I can see here the speaker 2 speaks. So I'll select speaker 2. Oh, okay. So now we can see the segment 1 color change got to speaker 2. So it should be the speaker 1. We in that case we what we'll do, we won't delete it. We'll simply click on speaker 1 and the color changes. Okay. Now, coming to the second segment. Yeah. So this segment is for speaker 2. We'll select this as speaker 2. Yeah. So now it gets highlighted in pink color. Let's create some more segments so that you will be familiar with the two. Okay. So from here it is speaker 1. I'll again select it. I'll listen to it another. Okay. So we'll click once again and we'll go for the second segment. So second segment the speaker 2 is saying is while. So this is speaker 2. Again we'll play the audio. Okay. We'll again see. We'll again select speaker 1. We have selected already. We'll drag the mouse from here to here and we'll listen to it once again. Because person stop. We need to readjust it again since speaker 2 voice is also available in the segment. So till here it's speaker 1. Because person stop. Okay, so then we'll deselect in that particular segment and we'll click on speaker 2 and go for the second speaker. Yeah. Now again let's play the audio. So here I can hear both the speakers are talking at the same time. But the speaker 1, a speaker 2 voice is mainly highlighted. So we'll create a segment for speaker 2. So after this, since we can hear two voice at the same time, so here after this we need to create another segment called as overlap segment. And how we need to create that segment, that is nothing else, we need to create it for uh, speaker 1. And it's a bit tricky, so we need to look at it very carefully. So now I will again play the audio. Here you can hear two voice at the same time, means two speaker have spoken continuously twice. So now I'll show you how to create the overlap segment. Let's see. Since we have already created a segment for speaker 2, now we need to create a segment for speaker 1 at the top of speaker 2. So we'll select speaker 1 and we'll listen where the speaker 1 was speaking. So from here she starts. So from there itself we'll now listen to it. I have created the segment over the speaker 2 segment itself. We need to make little bit of adjustment in speaker 1. Okay, now again let's play it. Okay, now it's perfect. In this way, speaker 1 and then the overlap is the speaker 1 segment here. So seeing how I have created the segment, you have already seen at first I have selected the speaker 1 and then I have dragged it where the overlap was accurately where the speaker 1 was speaking, and uh, and I have played it twice where the segmentation is done perfectly or not. So now this segment also needs transcription. We need to transcribe it. Now I have clicked on the segment already, and below you can provide the transcription where the box appears. Since there is an overlap segment, what we have to do is whatever we have listened to it, we have to write it under a tag, and that tag is called as overlap tag. Let's see how to write the overlap tag. Simply write it down as braces open, overlap, braces close. If it is very clear what the user has told, we should write it or if it's not, we are not able to hear it properly, that in that case we need to write it as unintelligible. So for that we write it as open braces UNIN and backward slash, and then close the braces and close the overlap tag. Whatever is there in this audio, we are not able to hear it properly. That's why we cannot write the speech. Means we are not able to understand it in it. Then we use unintelligible tag, just the way we wrote down here. If this audio we would hear, then we could have written it down, whatever was there in the audio. So once it is written, like we have provided the text, we will click on the add option and the transcription will get saved. We'll click on the segment again and recheck once whether the tag is available or not. Yeah, below we can see that the tag, whatever we have written for overlap, and it's written, it's available there. Now, say let's assume some cases where I will make you understand, like whatever the cases might be for some of the tags. So, let's create some segments. Say this is the speaker one, and uh, here if after this, sometimes there might be a language mismatch. If the speaker is saying something, some other language instead of English, say saying Hindi or Marathi or maybe Bengali or any other language, for that we use another tag. So let's suppose this part of the audio, like in this part of this segment, the speaker has said something in Hindi, and it says as the speaker says as Namaste. So Namaste, the word is Hindi word in the start. So how we will write it, how we will label it using tags. I mean how I will transcribe for it. So in the transcription box, we'll write it as open braces LM, language mismatch. LM stands for language mismatch, close the braces. Then if the word is clear, we can write it as namaste. This is just a example. Open braces, close the LM tag. LM stands for language mismatch. Means here we will write the lm tag, and in between we write the specific language and close the tag. Like I have written here, lm stands for language mismatch. If the language is not understandable, then we write it as, like instead of namaste we'll write unintelligible tag. So we'll remove this namaste and say suppose we are not able to understand what the user has said. So we'll write the unintelligible tag as open braces UNIN and backward slash and close the braces. So this way the LM tag is used. We'll add it. So it got saved. Then comes if a speaker is speaking continuously. Let's assume the speaker is speaking, you're talking continuously, and in between the speaker has taken a long pause, so that the case we need to break the segment, but for that also there is a criteria. If we get a gap of 4 seconds, then only we can split the segment, otherwise not. Let's see how to measure that 4 seconds. See here, there are two black vertical lines written as one. It starts from 1 minute, and here it's 10 ends at 1 minute 10 seconds, which means the distance between them is 10 seconds. And those small gray vertical lines, gray and light in color, so these are just small gray vertical lines, are 1 second distance in between them. Let's ignore the other portion and say, like the speaker has taken a pause from here till here, and say the speaker, now we need to check whether there is a gap of 4 seconds or not. Say from here the pause starts, and now count 1 second till the 4 second, counting the last one as well. So here it starts 1 second, 2 second, 3 second, and 4 second also. Yeah, so here is the 4 seconds. So in this way, we know that a 4 second gap is there, and we can calculate in the similar way for the rest of the audio if there is any gap in between, where the speaker has taken in the continuous speech, there is in between pauses of minimum 4 seconds. Now coming to numericals and initials. So if the speaker is saying any number, say any phone number, we should always write in running words, not in numbers. For example, if in this segment, say let's assume the speaker was saying a number like 943 2 1 3 4 5 6. So in this case we shouldn't write it as numbers, we should always write it in running words. Say we'll write it as 9 4 3 5 1 2. So in this way we need to write it down. And if there is also some cases where the speaker has used the date of birth like 1998, so this should be written as 1998. We shouldn't always write in numbers. So this that was the case for how we write for numericals. So now let's see how if there is any where the speaker has said any special characters like at the rate, hashtag, dollar sign, or dollar, 100 rupee, dollar, or something, if the speaker has told in between the conversation, so we should always keep in mind that the special characters are not allowed while doing transcription. And now coming to the writing part, how we write the letters like in lowercase or in uppercase. For transcription we should always write in lowercase only. Say in the audio the speaker is saying something as I know, so generally we write as I know in this way where I is in capital. But while doing transcription, as we should always remember, everything should be in lowercase, so we'll write I in small letter, I know, and continue the sentence whatever it is. So casing should be always in lowercase only. And when coming to acronyms, how do we write acronyms? IBM, we write it as giving some space, I B M. Then how we write ICCI, ICCI. So it shouldn't be like that. It should be I space C I C I. So in this way we write the acronym. Then when it comes to like NASA, we write generally NASA in this way. But for acronyms, we write as NASA. Talking about ISRO we generally write like this, but for transcription it will be in lowercase ISRO. Then PAN. PAN is written as in small letters PAN. And how do we write the word ma'am? Ma'am. So it is written as MA, comma AM. In this way we write ma'am. So then comes those shortcuts like kilometer, how we write it generally KMS. So it shouldn't be written like that. It should be written in full form kilometers. Then Mr. we write like this, but it should be written as MISTER, Mr. Doctor we generally write as doctor, DR dot, but it should be written as DOCTOR, doctor. So the thing is that we shouldn't write any shortcuts, it should be written in full form. And while the speaker, if there is a case while the audio is playing, the speaker is saying in the conversation, and there is some grammatical error, we should not try to correct it. Whatever is the speaker is saying, we should write as it is. Even it is the condition for spellings as well. And for proper nouns, we should write. For proper nouns like say Coca-Cola, we generally write it as Coca. We should write it as hyphen. Use hyphens for proper nouns. Coca-Cola. Then comes the math symbols like plus, then minus, in multiplication. So everything should be written as, if it is plus, then we should write it as plus in words, minus. And we should all then coming to punctuation marks. If there is a question after writing the sentence, at the end we should write it as question mark. And if there is a completion of sentence, we should write it, we should give the full stop. And when required, quotation. When required, exclamation mark. Everything, wherever it is required, we should use the punctuation mark. And when we're writing a Gmail, like for example, guru at the rate gmail.com, it shouldn't be written in this way. It should be, I'll show you here, it got saved. Let's create another segment. I'll show it in the new segment. So here it should be guru at the rate gmail.com. So it should be written like this only, guru, then comes at gmail, then dot com. So no shortcut or dot is written in written words. Everything should be maintained in this way only. Then if there is any mispronunciation, like instead of the word like they have said is school, but it should be school. In that case we can write it as school. That won't create any difference. say the user has said school. So instead of writing it as school, we should write it as school, since we know it says school only. So now coming to initials, what are initials? So initial is the first letter of a name or word. Typically it's a person's name. So say, how do we write PM Modi? Since it is an initial, we write it down as PM Modi in this way. Now, how do we write the word okay? Generally, in transcription, earlier we used to write okay in this way, but for this project, we are writing it down as O in capital and K in capital. If there is any music in the background, how do we write that music tag? So, open braces, music, close the braces, then close the tag, write it down, it's music. So if there is any uh, background noise, like any vocal music or primary speaker, the vocal music is there, so we write this tag in this way. So coming to non primary speech, if two people are talking at the same time, both the person's speech can't be heard, then we transcribe the main speaker under the NPS tag. Example, people speaking in the background that we don't want your system to recognize. Unintelligible sound, background noise like instrumental music, laughing, crying can be ignored, and we did not to put NPS. So when exactly two people are talking at the same time and both the person's speech can be heard, then we use the NPS tag. So NPS is written as NPS, then again close the tag with forward slash NPS. Now coming to if the speaker has said any abusive words, how do we write it? Open braces, AW stands for abusive words, then opening, then we should close the tag AW. So this is the tag how we write for abusive words. How do we write for filler words, like in between when the speaker is continuously speaking? Say they have taken some in that way. If the user has told some filler words, we need, how do we write it? Like open the braces, FIL, fill, and backward slash. In this way, the filler tag is used. Now, when there is a silence less greater than 1 second and it is less than 4 seconds, how do we write the silence tag? We write it down as SIL. This is the tag for silence. And if the silence portion is more than 4 seconds, it should be made into a separate segment. So this video contains all the segmentation guidelines. How do we transcribe it? How segmentation is done.